Hello and welcome to the reading from The Path as shown by Sage Agastya from the sacred discourses of Agasthiyar Vazhipaadu. Today we are going to continue the discourse on married life, on how life is like a boat. But we also remember that we discussed that whatever Appa is saying about married life is applicable to life as a whole for any of us, right? So last week we were talking about how it's important to have a very meaningful life, to make sure that we are not doing anything in a fast pace, because what happens is when it's a tendency. The moment we get a job, we want to buy 101 things. The moment we get married, we want to buy a house, we get a set of furniture, we get into debt. Before we are even recovering from it, we go ahead and start buying a car and the second car. So Appa says, be careful, do things very slowly, one thing at a time. Even before recovering from one thing, don't jump into another, because suppose you lose a job, then what happens? Then the whole house of cards falls apart. So that's what happens mostly in America, where a lot of people live on debt, whether it's a house or a car. Everything is, based on mortgages or, payments based on interest, and those things can be affected if you're not careful and do not have a very leisurely pace of life, being very careful, think before you do anything. And we also talked about how important it is not to show off too much, because what we are doing when we show off what we have achieved, what we have in terms of materials or things or anything, is we attract jealousy, which means negative energy. All these do affect us. Now we're going to talk about what what Appa has done is he's given us an analogy of a ocean and the boat, and the river and the boat, and all these things he's connecting to life. So today we are going to talk about the boat. Last week we talked about the river, which is life itself, and how meaningful it should be. So Appa says, the boat, that which takes people forward in life, is the boat. It is important that the boat has the correct area and depth. It should be constructed with a material that can float on water. It should not have holes in it. The boat should have enough space for the boatman as well as the people he is ferrying over the water. Now, he himself explains this, meaning, from the time a couple get married, they climb onto the boat of life and go forward. The boat is a thing that has been fabricated. The boat should be made with the correct type of wood, which means it should be harnessed with the attribute of love and kindness that neither of them can shake. Now, this is very very important. So whether we are talking about a marriage, or a relationship between a husband and wife, or any kind of relationship in life, everything should be based on love and kindness. Because if we like somebody, we talked about it last week, just because they look good, then the other attributes that are needed to have a proper married life is not going to be there. In the same way, you become friends with somebody just because they have status, because they have a lot of material. That friendship is not going to last, because there is no true love between the two. So one is, just trying to show off and is happy about the praises that the other person is giving, and the other person is there because the other person has status of wealth that they want, or they want to be part of. So here again, everything is give and take. It's like a business. So those things are not constant in life. They can sink the boat, which is the boat of our life, or we are in that boat of life. So then Appa says, as soon as a couple get married, they climb onto the boat and they go forward. So how should the boat be? First thing, it should be made of love and kindness that neither of them can shake. And how many marriages are actually based on that? Most of the time, we are not even aware of why we are getting married. And that is why when Appa talks about the whole system of marriage, he talks about how important it is for youth to understand what is marriage, why they should get married, what exactly should they look forward in marriage. Because otherwise, what happens is we all get married for different reasons, and then we face a lot of complications. Because anytime there are two people, whether it's in marriage or in family, even in between siblings, parents and children, there's always conflict. So what is it that can change all that is not having too much expectations, being able to accept the other, being able to listen, being able to understand each other and to cooperate and to let go of things that you cannot change. So he says, love and kindness, neither of them can shake. So, how many marriages do we see like that? Because most marriages, people stay because of certain things and there is no happiness. But if there is real love and kindness, then that marriage lasts for a long time. Then Appa says, where love, kindness, and trust is found lacking, the two oars will not be able to work in tandem, and being unable to remain connected to each other, even if there is a small wave, it will immediately overturn and submerge them in the water. So, this is what happens in most lives. We get married without really understanding what marriage is. Then we don't have real love and kindness between each other. We think we do. Many people even think lust is love, which is not love. And then to husband and wife or any relationship, people are not able to connect and move forward. They are not able to work in tandem. So what happens? There's conflict. And even if there's a little conflict, then it overturns the boat, which means the marriage collapses. There's a divorce or there's separation. And definitely when both parties, either one of them or both, create a lot of stink. That's what Appa talked about last week, which is to make a lot of mistakes, say a lot of ugly things, do a lot of ugly things. Then once the boat collapses, capsizes, then it's hard to get back in because it's already so dirty. So that is why going forward, if there are youth listening to this, think about this. Think about why you want to get married. What do you need from a marriage? It's not about beauty, it's not about lust, it's not about material things. It's about being able to live with another person for the rest of your life. It could be 50, 60 years or more. So it's so important to be able to get along with each other, to understand each other, to base your love on the fact that you want to spend the rest of your life. And that is why in Christianity they have in sickness or in health and in richness or in poverty. In the same way in Hinduism we have a lot of sayings. But how many times do we listen to all this when we are getting married? We just repeat what the priest is saying without even understanding because we don't even understand Sanskrit. And many times this priest doesn't even bother to explain what it is. And even if they do, how many marriages are based on just the outward show, the clothes, the finery, the dances nowadays, trying to make it more Bollywood like in India, especially. And it's all about the show than the actual marriage. Marriage is such an important aspect in life because it is the foundation of society. And for people who are spiritual, these lessons are also very important. Remember, whoever you're with, it's always important that you get along with the other person and you build a foundation of kindness and love within yourself that you can give anything and anybody who comes close to you. So we'll continue with what Appa is saying here. Then he talks about the boatman. If even if the one who plies the boat alone he's able to ply the boat alone, then he can ply the boat for a long distance slowly. In case the person on the boat is also able to ply the boat well, which is the other person in the boat, both can ply the boat easily and traverse a long distance. However, when the boat is plying, if the other person tilts the boat back and forth, it is not possible to ply the boat properly forward. So this is beautiful. The way Appa is creating an imagery. See, we listen to a lot of lectures on love and marriage and life, but here, if we start understanding or creating that imagery and associating what Appa is teaching us with all the aspects of the boat and the oars and the boatman and the river, these lessons will remain always with us. They'll get connected to our heart. So he says, if a person is able to ply the boat alone, if that is a man or a woman who is very strong, can carry the family forward, that is fine. They can do it slowly. Again, slowly is important, because we see a lot of people rushing pell mell to acquire more things, do more things, and go higher without even laying a firm foundation in their life. And then he says, if both can ply, if the wife too is, or the husband too is both of them are capable of plying the boat, then they can do it and go a long distance. If both are capable. Now, when the boat is going, if one of them starts tilting, move here and there, which means we have conflicts. Husband says something, wife doesn't agree. Wife says something, husband doesn't agree. Or in any other relationship, the boss says something, the employee doesn't agree. Or a friend says something, and you both decide to go on a travel somewhere, and then one person says something, the other person says something else, they don't agree. It all becomes a mess. you know you are not getting along, you're not enjoying the boat ride. So the same thing happens in married life. And a person wants something which is not, the other person is not able to give. Say for example, the wife wants something expensive and the husband is not able to provide, and the wife makes a big ruckus about it. Then what happens? The boat capsizes, the marriage fails, or they have a lot of problem in marriage. So Abba says, be very careful about what you want with, or what you expect from each other. And then he says, if one finds fault with the boatman while he is plying the boat, he may become disgusted, lose his self confidence, and may falter in the task he has undertaken. Which means, if a person has the capacity and knowledge of the work he is doing, it is wrong to find fault with it. Even if small mistakes are made, it is better to wait until the boat reaches the shore and then point out the mistakes. Now, how many of us are guilty of this? So, if somebody knows what they're doing, let's say, take a simple example, we're sitting in a car, the person is driving. We cannot control the car. The car is being controlled by the driver. But if we start saying, oh, wait, that car is coming, this person is crossing the street, what is going to happen? The person gets irritated, the person gets disgusted, and they say, okay, I'm done with this. Or because of the anger, because of the irritation, they might cause an accident. In the same way, in life, when somebody is doing something and they're able to do something, let them be. Do not keep finding fault with them. Let them do what they know they're doing well. Because, see, whether it is a husband and wife, whether it is a siblings or parents and children, we have the power to help another person move forward with self confidence. If when we are on the spiritual field, whenever somebody comes and says, hey, I want to do this, encourage them. Always be positive, because see, whatever you say, it has power. That's why they even say, when you're talking to children, don't, you know, criticize them, because that stays in them forever, especially if you're parents. With husband and wife, if a husband is doing well, praise him, help him, if possible, guide him, but don't make him lose his self-confidence. Because when we are doing something like that in close relationships, where the parents are doing to children, siblings to siblings, friends to friends, we are committing a great mistake by making the person lose their self confidence. It's easy. Out there, the world is really bad. It's very challenging. Whether you go to work, whether you even have to get into the car and go somewhere or get in the bus, you face so much conflicts. The home, or if you're thinking of a person, the person should be like an oasis where people can come and be themselves and know that they are not going to be criticized. Nobody's going to find fault with them. So we as spiritual seekers can be like a oasis to everybody around us. But we all fail. That's okay. But remember, Appa's teachings and try to change. Keep trying to change. And that's all that is required. The same thing in marriage. When a husband is doing something, don't let him lose his self confidence. Help him, guide him, be there for him. Same thing with the wife. Because if we can't give that to people who are around us, how can they go and face the challenges in the world? See, these are simple things that we can do for life, for the world around us. Just being kind and loving, just being understanding, being compassionate. Doesn't require anything from us. We don't have to give them money, we don't have to give them material. All that is required is being able to understand everybody and to, be kind and loving. Now, let's continue with what Appa is saying here. Which means if a person has the capacity and knowledge of the work he is doing, it is wrong to find fault with it. Even if small mistakes are made, it is better to wait until the boat reaches the shore, then point out the mistakes. Same thing whether you've taken up something and you're doing it, don't stop them midway. If possible, gently guide them. Otherwise, wait. Wait for the right time to bring up any topic. So, what does Appa mean when he says, if small mistakes are there, wait until the boat reaches the shore, which means wait until the person reaches a place where they're able to relax and listen to what you're going to say. They'll be more open to what you're going to say. Otherwise, it's only going to create problem for both of you because you are affecting the very boat you are on. Next, Appa talks about paddles or oars are needed to ply the boat. That is correct knowledge and wisdom. What is the paddle? In life, whether it is in marriage or otherwise, knowledge, correct knowledge, and wisdom are important. So, what is the knowledge about? Knowledge about what is life, what is a husband, what is a wife, who are family and friends, who is the most important person in married life, who must be the first among men for the wife, who must be the first among women for the husband, who do we consider the other person. An understanding of such things is crucial. How often do we fail to understand these simple things? Who are family and friends? Family and friends are people who love you no matter what, who accept you the way you are. They're not there for your materials, they're not there for your status, they're not there for your beauty. They are there because they care for you, they love for you. Who is a husband? Who's a wife? These are two people who have been brought together because they want to, traverse this boat of life together in the river of life. And so, who should be the first for the husband or the wife? Always the husband and wife. For the husband, it's the wife is the husband. For parents, it's the children until the children grow up and they have their own family. That is when the parents need to let go because now the children have their own family and they have their own importance. The importance changes as we go. So many of the conflicts we have in life arise because we are not able to let go of our children or our siblings or our friends, and we want to have that same kind of relationship even though the circumstances in their lives have changed. So we also in married life it becomes very important because many times the husband is more interested in making sure his wife no, his mother is pleased or his sister is pleased. Then what happens? The wife feels neglected. Same thing with the husband. Wife does the same thing about her parents. She cares more for her siblings than her husband or his family. Then there is always conflict because they feel that they are not important to each other. Why is it so important for these two people to understand that they are most important for each other? We'll see about that. So, an understanding of such things is crucial. Why? For a husband, a wife is important. In the same way, for the wife, the husband is the most important. All others play a supporting role for these two. So, remember that. Everybody else are there, but they're not going to be there constantly. They come and go. Even children come into our lives and then they go. Parents are there and they're already moved on. So, Those that bring harmony between the two as are seen as friends. We've seen that. Hence, to progress in life, both should have unity, love, and affection. The couple should know what the goals of life are: money, material, home, vehicles, food. These are needed in life, but these are not life itself. If love is expressed by only one side and it is not experienced by the other, then indifference will raise its head in the place of love. So, in life, you should have unity, husband and wife. So, what we do, most of the marriages, husband and wife get angry, the wife goes and talks to somebody else, complains about the husband, husband goes complains about the wife. Then what is lost? Unity is lost. They're not being loyal to each other. So that is very important. Same thing happens whether you're in a office setting. Somebody says something, you go and talk about that with somebody else. Then that somebody else does. Before you know, it comes back to this person, and then the damage is done. So try not to express what is happening in your life too much with others. There are people who love to hear and who'd be able to help you, but only if you're very trustworthy and if you really, really need to share something because it's that bad and somebody can guide you and strengthen your relationship with your husband or wife or with the other, office relationship. Talk to such people, but don't talk to somebody who dismisses what you're saying or adds more fuel to the fire to create rift between you both, whether it's your husband and wife or your co-workers or siblings or parents and children. So be careful about whom you share information with. Then he says, money, material, home, vehicles, food, these are needed in life. We cannot say, no, I don't need this. We all need this. So there's nothing wrong in that. But we must understand this is not life itself. How many of us lose sight of that? How many of us put the whole family into a lot of trouble because we want to buy another house or another expensive car and we don't have enough things to live, and then the husband buys all these expensive things, then he dies, and then the wife is left with the children and all the debts. So if a husband really loves his wife or the wife loves the husband, then look at how much money you have. Decide how much you can spend without it becoming a burden for the other person if something happens to you. So moderation in life is paramount. Then he says, if love is expressed by only one side and not experienced by the other, so if one person loves the other really doesn't love this person, then what happens is indifference. It raises its ugly head. And there's nothing that is more damaging to a relationship than indifference. When a person feels, my husband doesn't care for me or my wife doesn't care for me, that creates a void that can eat away a person's heart, especially when we are living in a society. Same, so as spiritual aspirants, what can we do? We can try, no matter how bad things are, how bad things appear to be, try to be kind and understanding and give love, unconditional love. It's hard, but we can try. So let's continue. Hence, to progress in life, both should have unity, love, and affection. And we've already read that. Then we go to the next one. In life, there is a relationship between husband and wife. They should never loosen the grip on that at any time for any reason. The only thing that will remain as a crutch until the end of life is the relationship between the two. It is good for both to protect it and to make sure that it is not broken or loosened by anyone. So, Appa's saying something very, very important. Remember, no matter how many friends you have, how many relatives you have, the two people who have decided to come together in a marriage are important to each other, because till the very end, when you're sick, they are the persons who are going to be able to clean you, bathe you, give you food, take care of you. In your old age, they are going to be there for you because they've walked with you. You have taken care of them, they're going to take care of you. So that crutch should be strong. You should know that both of you are very, very important to each other. A lot of marriages lose this basic thing because Husband thinks his family is more important than his wife. He doesn't realize that the wife has left her family to come and be part of his family. Same thing with the wife. If the wife thinks, hey, my family is more important, I'm going to go do all this for my family, and doesn't take care of her husband, then the husband starts feeling, oh, she's there only because she wants these things from me. So be very careful and know that what you have is very valuable. Having another person, if you're married, is important and it's valuable. Do not lose sight of it. So we are almost up to the end. Then he says, there are two types of enemies for man: those who make us trust them and betray us on the surface. Another is the ego within us, that is, in married life, it is the attitude of considering, I am right, whatever I think is right. It is wrong to think that everything else is wrong, which means in married life, it is not right to think that only what one does or what one thinks is correct and that everything else is not. So, again, important lesson here from Appa: be open. Be open to what another person thinks or says. Because, you have the story of the blind man, six blind men touching an elephant, and each person thinks the elephant is just the trunk or the tusk, and that's how it is. But it is not. It's made of a lot of different things. In the same way, each person has a different perspective of life, different thoughts, different understanding of life, and it's important to be open and accepting and allow them to talk about it. Don't dismiss them when they're talking. Allow them to talk, and try to understand them. You don't have to always agree, but you can disagree amicably. You don't have to fight about everything. So don't always think that only what you say is right. Many households that happens, the husband thinks what I'm saying is right. Maybe the wife has something to say that is important too. And Appa leaves us some thoughts here. Where there is the habit of letting go, their patience prevails. So, letting go is very important in married life and in a lot of other relationships. Don't sweat the small things. Let go of small things. Don't fight about small things. Where patience prevails, there is an opportunity to progress again. So, wherever there is patience, we can continue. Otherwise, what happens? We capsize the boat and we fall, and everything is lost. Then he says another thing: rage wins the day, but later kills. What happens when we rage? It causes a lot of damage in relationships. Humility may make you cry that day, but will help you bloom the next day. So, no matter what happens, be mindful, be open, and be humble. And with this, we will end today and continue next week.